All blown out of proportion? How much will pollution play a part at next year's Beijing Olympics? Washout. The rich American yachting syndicate misses another opportunity to challenge for the sport's greatest prize, the America's Cup. And Spain's current crop of basketball stars slam dunking America's game. Welcome, everyone, to Sportsworld, Al Jazeera's regular look at sport on every continent. I'm Brendan Connor. Glad you're along for another edition of the show. The organizers of next year's Summer Olympics in the Chinese capital, Beijing, are claiming theirs will be the best ever. Well, that prediction may turn out to be correct, but one persistent issue threatens to overshadow, perhaps literally, the success of the Games. Air pollution is a huge problem in Beijing, and no one is sure yet what its impact may be. Al Jazeera's Wayne Hay reports.
A Beijing sunset is a sight to behold, but sadly its beauty is enhanced by heavy air pollution. This is one of the most polluted cities in the world. There are many culprits: heavy traffic, factories and thousands of construction sites kicking up choking dust. And that dust is what you first notice in the air. It's the byproduct of China's economic boom.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And these are the people who are nervously keeping an eye on the situation. The International Olympic Committee.
That is a concern. That is a concern, definitely. You know, this country goes through an enormous economic boost, you know, with double-digit growth figures, you know, for a couple of years now already. This leads to an enormous construction. There's some 4,000 or 5,000, you know, construction sites here in Beijing, which of course causes dust.
During the bid process, Beijing officials promised to have the situation under control by the start of the Games. And just over 14 months away from the opening ceremony, they maintain they're on the right track.
How can you promise the world that come August next year, the pollution will be under control?
Our air quality is improving greatly compared with 1995. In 1995, there were only 100 days that could reach the state standard level 2. And now in 2006, we had 238 days that reached the national standard level 2. So that's an improvement. And this year, we're still working hard on stressing air quality control. And next year, we will exert new measures for air improvement.
We're in the phase of discussing with them the contingency plans, because that is required. And you know, there they go really into detail. We've had meetings with their experts, and they use a lot of people from abroad for this, which is a good thing too. And we feel confident at this moment. We feel confident, you know, that the athletes can perform here in a good environment.
The contingency plans may include simply shutting down heavy industry during the Games and taking millions of vehicles off the streets. Ironically though, during the IOC's visit, the skies were relatively clear. When they left, the heavy pollution descended again. But put the problems with air quality and traffic congestion aside, and the IOC doesn't need to search too hard to get a preview of how successful the Games of the 29th Olympiad could be. To see this stadium firsthand, it is truly quite amazing. It's still very much a construction zone, but it is a main Olympic stadium like we've never seen before. And if this is anything to go by at all, come August next year, when the world will be watching, Beijing looks set to turn on something quite special. The construction of facilities has caused problems of a different kind. Chinese organisers leapt out of the gates so early that the IOC told them to slow down.
Because otherwise it would have been ready this year, and they didn't plan totally what that would cost, because a lot of maintenance, obviously, when you're too early. So now it will, virtually everything will be ready by the end of 2007. That is perfect for us. Test events take place already this year, a lot of them. The stadium will be ready on the 31st of March next year, which is 2 months before the test event for the athletics. So, you know, as far as the venues is concerned, which is always the most important thing, there is nothing to worry about.
But there is apparently a difference of opinion and a clash of cultures when it comes to how fast things should be moving.
The IOC has set construction procedures to follow. They want things to go on schedule, step by step, so that they can cooperate with us and make coordination easier. And in the past, it has always been on time with the construction timeline. This time, we are moving too fast for them to catch up. It doesn't mean we are doing inferior construction, but it means that we are more efficient than our predecessors.
What you're doing here with the Olympic Games and how you are doing it, is it a lesson to the rest of the world that China and I guess the rest of Asia can do things very quickly and very efficiently?
Recently, China is developing very fast, and our economy is growing fast, and our city administration and construction is moving very smoothly. So the speed for us to construct venues is just in accordance with our city construction and city management. So we're not consciously doing it to set examples for the world to learn from us. It's just because we do it in accordance with our whole city plan.
Their Games plan is to stage a spectacular Olympics, but by August 2008, the world's athletes in particular will be happy if the sunsets are a little less spectacular. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
Well, the final yacht racing series to see who becomes the 2007 America's Cup challenger is set to begin June the 1st off the coast of Spain. But once again, a team from the country the Cup is named after has failed in its bid, as the American entry BMW Oracle was eliminated by Italy's Luna Rossa. I visited Valencia recently for a look at the event and at the BMW Oracle syndicate, which came with high hopes, cutting-edge technology and a big budget, but it's now realizing that big money doesn't always mean success. The sport of yacht racing. It's fast, aesthetically beautiful, technical and strategic, and expensive, and it's all for an old piece of hardware called the America's Cup.
The America's Cup was a very, very small sporting event on the world stage. Now, America's Cup, I rank it as probably the third or fourth biggest sporting event in the world.
This trophy arrived in America in 1851, and it didn't leave until 1983. U.S. teams won the first 25 editions of the America's Cup until it was finally wrestled away by Australia in the 80s. New Zealand has had the honor of holding up the venerable cup, and most recently, the Swiss have celebrated victory. And here in 2007, the Americans wanted it back.
There's a lot of pressure on us from the States to perform well because this is the oldest trophy in sport. It's named after the nation America because the yacht, the original yacht, was named after the nation America. So there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of tradition. It's fun, but there's a lot of pressure as well.
But these days, it's hardly a 2- or 3-horse race anymore. In this sport for multimillionaires and rich syndicates, the challengers come from all over. Italy, Spain, Sweden, South Africa, France, and of course, from America. The BMW Oracle racing team was a well-funded and slick operation that spared no cost here at its Valencia base camp or in building 2 magnificent boats, taking them around the world in search of optimum training conditions, and paying out necessary money to attract the top sailors from various countries to crew the boat. Veteran Gavin Brady is from New Zealand, probably the leading sailing nation in the world, and he saw no issue with helping an American team try to win the cup.
You know, this is a very international game now, the technology and everything. We've got an international team. I actually don't think you can win the America's Cup now with just a national team. I think there's too much resources out there in all the nations and all the skills. So you've got to be very open-minded and select people that are going to get along together for 4 years, but also bring a lot of strengths and a lot of information into the team.
The American presence here in Valencia during the trials has been a big one. The BMW Oracle team is among the best funded. They have fabulous facilities. There's been a great training regime that has taken them around the world over the last few years in preparation for the America's Cup Challenge. But the team leaders are quick to point out you don't win the America's Cup by just throwing money around.
It's not only about big budgets, it's the application, it's the use of the resources. It's not necessarily the team with the biggest budget that wins, but the team that is the smartest, that spends their money the wisest.
How much of it is sailing skill? How much of it is equipment? How much of it is organization and funding?
Fast boats, well sailed, that don't break. So you have to have a good strategy, the best people, and all 3 of those things. If you're not excellent in each of those areas, fast boats, well sailed, that don't break, you won't win.
The American team even used the engineering skills at its disposal when BMW came on as a major sponsor for this challenge. Thomas Hahn is an aerodynamic engineer with BMW's German operations, but was asked to lend his skills and expertise to the yacht racing effort. His contribution? Ceramic bearings that reduce friction on the sail rigging, less friction than Teflon, which the other boats currently use.
This component is in the top of the mast, which is here for the spinnaker hoist, because there is a lot of velocity involved. There's a lot of high RPMs when setting the spinnaker, because you have to get the spinnaker up as fast as possible. And these guys are spinning like forever, and they're spinning without any kind of friction, so we are probably able to get the spinnaker up in a second, or not in a second, but in a tenth of a second earlier than the others.
Some here in Valencia were envious, even resentful of the amount of money the Americans spent. But it's become a race for the rich. Emirates Airlines sponsor the Kiwis. Prada and other leading Italian companies sponsor Luna Rossa. And the American group made no apologies for having the biggest budget among the challengers. However, in this case, the spending didn't help to win the prize.
Everything we've done for 4.5 years is measured at the end by one trophy.
A trophy the Americans will have to wait another 4 years to try for again. We'll be back with more of Sportsworld right after this break. You're watching Al Jazeera.